Welcome back into the High School Fan Zone on a Wednesday night. This is the last High School Fan Zone of the school year. We are on a Wednesday night, so that means it's Friendship, Lubbock, Cooper, and Liberty. We will be back in the fall, and I say fall, it could be late August, early September. It won't feel like fall for a while, but we'll be back with 8 schools because Memorial will be open by then. Memorial, the new Friendship High School, so we'll squeeze in another school on one of those nights and kind of learn about the Panthers as we go, sort of like we did with Liberty in their first year. This guy coming up next from Lubbock Cooper knows a lot of the Liberty folks well because he coached with a lot of them, and there's had to be some sharing and some exchanges of ideas since that school opened. I'm joined now by Chip Darden, the Lubbock Cooper football coach. What's up, Chip? How's the party going?
It's good. We're in decorating mode right now. I didn't realize we had to do this for a kindergarten graduation.
Oh, but, heck yes.
It's all good.
How many 5- and 6-year-olds will you have at your house?
Well, it's actually just a family, just family coming over. So just my kids, and it'll be good. It was a good day.
Going to have a lot of my favorite Dardens in one place.
That's right. That's exactly right.
There we go.
Yep.
So I mentioned that things are changing. The landscape in Lubbock changes again in the fall with Memorial jumping in, and that'll affect you guys pretty quick too. I went and talked to Jason Richards yesterday, the Memorial football coach. Sounds like they're going to be a 5A program pretty quick, maybe with their first realignment, which means that's going to be somebody who you guys wind up playing pretty quick. I'll call you a Lubbock-ish guy. You're from Shallow Water. That's right next door to us. When you were growing up, did you have any inkling that we would be here, that there would be these 2 new high schools in Lubbock this quickly, or did you think that Lubbock was just going to be Lubbock?
It's crazy. Like when I was in high school at Shallow Water, we were in a district with Lubbock Cooper, and actually my first couple years of coaching, we were in a district together, and we always thought when I was in high school that Lubbock Cooper was bigger, but we never considered it a big school. And it's just crazy, the growth. Would have never thought we'd be in this spot with both districts having two big high schools. And you talk about us playing Memorial. We're actually, our freshmen are going to scrimmage them this year, or I'm sorry, play them. We're going to play them game 1. That week with Lovejoy kind of puts us in a bind. We're not going to travel that far with our sub-varsities, and we're able to get all of our sub-varsities against Memorial week 1. So our JV and freshman teams will play them right off the bat. So there's no waiting around to play those guys. We'll be right into it, and I'm sure it'll be quite the rivalry, just like it is with Friendship.
And or probably know where I'm going with this. My selfish reasoning, because of the website I run, is that in 4 or 6 years, maybe even sooner, but in 4 years, hopefully there will be a district with a couple Lubbock Cooper schools, a couple of Friendship schools, a couple of 3 LISD schools, because that'll make, to me, and you guys have played city teams all along, it's not going to change that much for you, but those city games, there's always a little bit more spice and intensity to them. They're always funner to be at, and I assume funner to coach in and play in.
Yeah, they're good for this area, and I think a lot of it is the brand of football is good. You can go to different areas, and it's just funny to see the difference in football. And we actually had somebody tell us that was scouting us when we played Lovejoy last year. They were scouting Lovejoy, and I won't mention who they are, but a big time program, DFW, and our principal was near them, kind of asked them where they were from, what was going on, and they kind of made a comment of, this is one of the most physical teams we've seen. And, for us, we just kind of, and that's just kind of how we play out here. Like, it wasn't a overly physical game in terms of for us, but I think that's just West Texas football. So I think when you get a district that had, if that comes to fruition, we've got all those teams, man, that's going to be fun. It's going to be fun for West Texas, but I think it's also going to showcase our physical brand of football, and man, it'll be a grind. We might have to petition for 2 open weeks if that district comes up, because we'll need it.
And you have the weird schedule, right, where you don't get is it you that has the bye week at the end?
Yep, week 11.
That's what I thought. You guys have done pretty well grinding away. Had 8-4 last year, lost in the second round to Walnut. I'm going to sure I say Prosper Walnut Grove, one of the newer schools out there. I'm going to tell you something I told the Lubbock Cooper executive athletic director, who's also your brother-in-law, that to me, what you and your coaching staff have done the last 2 years is impressive as anything that I've seen, because you guys have had some peaks and valleys, and you guys just keep getting off the mat and playing and doing things and just being Lubbock Cooper. It's been impressive to me. So we're coming up on a break. We're going to come back after the break and talk more Lubbock Cooper football with Chip Darden on the High School Fan Zone, the Pirate Fan Zone on 100.7 The Score.
Bringing you the latest news from Lubbock Cooper Athletics. This is the Pirate Fan Zone podcast from 100.7 The Score.
Welcome back into the Pirate Fan Zone on 100.7 The Score. We are talking to Chip Darden about Lubbock Cooper football on the last High School Fan Zone episode of the school year. We will be back in late August, early September, getting these guys back on. Football coaches probably get tired of me by about the middle of September, asking them the same questions over and over again. I don't think Chip does. Chip and I usually have a good time when we hang out.
It's way earlier than that, Randy.
What do you mean? It's earlier. Oh, now I get it. Okay. Well, fair enough.
Kidding, obviously.
Yeah, of course we are. Chip lets me hang out in his office for long extended periods. I probably get in trouble with one of my favorite Dardens for getting him home too late. So first of all, I mentioned last year you guys got to the playoffs again, which every year I've had the sites you guys have gotten there. You've punched a ticket to at least the second round. 3 years in a row losing the second round. Does that sound right?
Yes, sir.
Paul Page was just in here. They lost in the regional finals to the team that went on to win the state championship, and I referenced you. I think each year you've gotten the state semifinals, you've lost to the state champion, correct?
Yes.
Aledo,
and
South Oak Cliff, and Aledo.
Yes, sir.
And how did Walnut Grove wind up doing last year?
They lost the next game. They lost to Argyle in the next game. But the 2 years before that, we had lost to Aledo in the second round of playoffs as well. So
you guys are running into good teams.
Hump. What's that?
You're running into good teams. We talked about the West Texas toughness, and I think you said that when I talked over you there. The key now is to break that door down, to get through and see what you can do after that.
Walnut Grove was a different deal because they were in that district of doom. They were in the crazy district there with Lovejoy, Anna, Melissa, Frisco, Emerson. It was just you looked at what happened the previous year and how many teams did so well, and they won that district, went 9-1, and so a new school that nobody knew a lot about, and they were really good, and we went toe to toe with them and kind of had some things that didn't go our way that some we created, some they created. It was a really good game, but yeah, we're the DFW. I think we showed last year going to Lovejoy week 1 that we can play with them, and we've got to do it at the right time. And Lovejoy went to the regional finals in our division, and we got them at their place week 1, and we got to work on how we handle that week 11 open week. And I don't know, I think looking back, we kind of limped down the stretch, and some of that has to do maybe with how we practiced and how we did things that we're evaluating ourselves as coaches and trying to be better with it. But ultimately, yeah, we're just not satisfied with being 8-4 and losing the second round of playoffs. We've got to find a way to get over that hump and be the bad draw for people. There
you go. Well, and I've said this to a couple different people, to a guy I met today out at Lubbock Christian, that the second week of the area around last year for Lubbock was a week where Lubbock stuck its toe in the sand and said, here we are. Now you have to take that next step, because that was the week when Friendship gave South Lake Carroll everything it wanted. You guys gave Summit Grove or Walnut Grove everything they wanted, and then Monterey the next day played Denton Ryan and slugged it out with them. Now it's just it's just a matter of that next step. There's not, you kind of touched on it. It's you're not missing much. It's not a matter of a huge talent gap, or it's just getting used to being in that level and knowing what you've got to do.
Yep. But, ultimately, you're spot on, but ultimately, nobody cares about that when it's all said and done, and that's the thing. In 23, we went toe to toe with Aledo and talked to their coaches at the regional track meet, and they kind of said we knew when we won that was the state championship, and that's all great. And, they're being nice sitting there talking to them, but ultimately, I don't know that anybody remembers other than us who Aledo beat in the second round of the playoffs. They remember that Aledo was the state champ, and that's what goes down in the record books, not how close you kept it with them. So we're doing everything that we can, and I think we had an off season that was designed for that, and I think we've got a group coming back that's ready to get over that hump, and just kind of reminds me of some teams we had that got over the hump back in like 2013 and then in 2018 that kind of all of a sudden you had some guys returning that had played in some big games that hadn't quite got there, and that's what this team kind of reminds me of, those teams.
And yeah, to be clear, Lubbock Cooper has gotten over that hump before. You get, like we mentioned, 3 state semifinals of 2000, which Max's last team was 13-0 before you lost.
They were regional finals,
yep.
Yes, sir.
So that hump has been scaled. It's you guys are not far off. And you mentioned some of those guys. I'm looking through the all-city team. I know right off the bat you've got a third-year starting quarterback set to come back in Ryan Rodriguez. You've got Shemaine Johnson coming back, who stepped in as a key guy in the backfield. You've got Sione, say his last name because I don't want to butcher it.
Vea. Yes, sir, Sione Vea.
If you haven't seen that young man play, folks, that it's worth the price of admission just to go out and watch that kid on the defensive line, because he dominates.
Yeah, we're going to have, depth will be a deal. And I think every coach you have on will talk about depth. But our offensive and defensive lines have some experience that our first, 4 or 5 on the D line, our first 5 or 6 on the O line have played a lot of football, and I think have a chance of being pretty good. And you're right about Ryan and Shemaine and Cade Gant, some of the guys that have played a whole lot of football, Cale Kirk, those are good players, and I'm not trying to discredit them, but when you can start with the front, offensive and defensive front, so you got a chance. And I'm excited to see what Ryan can do his senior year. He took a huge leadership step last year, was only the second non-senior that we've ever had voted as a captain, Kyler Jordan being the other one. And so just excited to see that step too, and think the pieces are there, and the guys are excited for it. With us not doing spring football, it kind of, we leave the school year getting really excited about getting back in August, where sometimes when we had been doing spring, it's like we're ready for a break. I think right now they're ready to go.
No spring football and no 7-on-7. I can't remember if it was either you or Jay who said you were going to run the ball a lot more. That might have been Jay Northcutt from Friendship.
I suggested to the UIL that if they did a inside the run tournament, that we would go to that. We'd sign up for that.
Well, I don't think they're going to do that anytime soon. But Lubbock Cooper will be back in the fall. We'll be back in the fall to talk to Chip Darden, as long as he will let me sit in his office. So that's going to wrap us up on the Pirate Fan Zone. We'll be back after the break talking Liberty boys basketball with Parker Hicks. This is Randy Rosetta, and this is 100.7 The Score.